Welcome to Final Moments, where we remember the remarkable lives of those that we've lost. From legendary voices to groundbreaking thinkers, today's episode honors their lasting impact. If you appreciate these tributes, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on the stories that shape our history. Now let's take a moment to remember those who left us today. Number 1, Joe Haines. Joe Haines, a towering figure in British political journalism, has died at the age of 97. He died on February 19, 2025 at his home in Royal Tunbridge Wells, Kent. Fiercely intelligent, deeply loyal, and never afraid of controversy, Haines dedicated his life to politics and journalism, leaving behind a legacy that shaped both fields for decades. Born in 1928 in the working-class neighborhood of Rotherham, England, Haines's early life was marked by hardship. His father, a dock worker, died when he was just 2 years old, and his mother, a hospital cleaner, worked tirelessly to raise him and his siblings. Despite leaving school at 11, Haines's determination and sharp mind led him into journalism at just 14, starting as a copy boy before becoming one of Britain's most respected political commentators. His career took a pivotal turn in 1969 when Harold Wilson appointed him as press secretary. He served in that role twice, first in Wilson's initial tenure as prime minister and again from 1974 to 1976. Fiercely loyal, Haines was known for his ability to control narratives, even admitting to misleading the press about Wilson's health issues to protect the government from instability. After Wilson's resignation, Haines turned to writing, publishing The Politics of Power, which sparked controversy for its portrayal of Falkender's influence. He later joined the Daily Mirror, where he gained a reputation for his tough and uncompromising style. Haines also drew heavy criticism for his scathing 1991 article about Freddie Mercury following the singer's death from AIDS. His words were widely condemned as homophobic, leading to a lasting stain on his reputation. Despite facing health struggles, including blindness and dialysis treatments, Haines remained mentally sharp until his final days. He spent his last Christmas on a cruise and celebrated his 97th birthday before passing away at home in Royal Tunbridge Wells. Number 2, Mike Lange. Mike Lange, born on March 3, 1948 in Sacramento, California, was more than just a hockey announcer, he was a Pittsburgh legend. For nearly 5 decades, his unmistakable voice and iconic catchphrases brought Pittsburgh Penguins hockey to life. Sadly, Lange passed away on February 19, 2025 at the age of 76 in his home in Pittsburgh. His cause of death hasn't been publicly disclosed, but his impact on the game and the city he loved is undeniable. From his early days calling games for the Phoenix Roadrunners and San Diego Gulls to becoming the Penguins' voice in 1974, Lange's journey was as colorful as his commentary. Over 46 seasons with Pittsburgh, he became as much a part of the team as the players themselves, calling every major moment from Mario Lemieux's dominance to Sidney Crosby's rise. Lange's voice was the soundtrack to 5 Stanley Cup championships. His energetic play-by-play and signature phrases like "smiling like a butcher's dog" and Lord Stanley, give me the brandy" became legendary. His calls weren't just heard, they were felt. In 2001, he was honored with the Foster Hewitt Memorial Award by the Hockey Hall of Fame, cementing his place among the sport's greatest broadcasters. Even after moving exclusively to radio in 2006, he remained the heartbeat of Penguins broadcasts until his retirement in 2021. Phil Bourque, his longtime broadcast partner, described him best: "One of the kindest, most loyal, and loving humans I've ever met." The Penguins honored him by naming the press box at PPG Paints Arena the Mike Lange Media Level, ensuring his presence will always be felt. Mike Lange may be gone, but his voice will echo throughout time. Rest in peace, Mike, or as you'd say, Elvis has just left the building. Number 3, Gerd Stern. A life lived at full volume, a mind that danced with poetry, technology, and psychedelia. A name whispered in the same breath as Allen Ginsberg, Timothy Leary, and Marshall McLuhan. This is the story of Gerd Stern, a beat poet, multimedia pioneer, and the man who quite literally lit up the 60s. But even the most electric minds eventually power down. On February 12, 2024, Gerd Stern passed away at the age of 96 in Manhattan. His daughter, Rhoda Stern, confirmed his death, stating that he had been in a rehabilitation center at the time. With his passing, we lose one of the last living bridges to the original psychedelic movement, one of the few remaining artists who could truly say they had seen, shaped, and lived through the era that changed everything. Gerd Stern wasn't just part of the counterculture, he helped define it. He created mind-bending multimedia experiences before psychedelic was a household word. His performances weren't just shows, they were sensory overload. Light, sound, poetry, and film colliding in a whirl of color and chaos. Born in 1928 in the Saar region of Germany, Stern's family saw the writing on the wall and escaped to America in 1936. He grew up in New York City, where he attended Bronx Science, briefly flirted with college, and then dropped out. It was in a psychiatric institute of all places that he met Allen Ginsberg. Ginsberg was there on a plea bargain. Stern, just trying to get a meal. The two became fast friends, sharing poetry, joints, and radical ideas. In the 1960s, he co-founded US Co., an artist collective that took over an abandoned church in New York. The group's mission? Blow people's minds. Their performances combined film, strobe lights, kinetic sculptures, and audio collages. One of their early gigs? Drowning out Timothy Leary himself. Leary wanted a show that would activate the brain. Stern and US Co. gave him chaos. The audience was supposed to turn on, tune in, drop out. Instead, they got an overwhelming barrage of sound and light. The message? You've got to go out of your mind to use your head. It became US Co.'s unofficial slogan. Number 4, Donald Shoup. Donald Shoup changed the way we see our cities. Through his groundbreaking work, he challenged something most of us take for granted, parking, and revealed how it shapes our communities, our economy, and our environment. Born on August 24, 1938, Professor Shoup dedicated over 5 decades of his career to studying land use, transportation, and urban planning. His 2005 book, The High Cost of Free Parking, was more than just a study, it was a call to action. He showed us that free parking isn't free at all. Instead, it leads to congestion, pollution, and sprawl. Thanks to his work, cities worldwide have reconsidered their parking policies. More than 3,000 cities have adopted his ideas, creating walkable neighborhoods, reducing traffic, and making urban life better for everyone. He didn't just write about change, he inspired it. Affectionately known as the Shoup Dog, he became a legend among urbanists. His ability to make something as seemingly mundane as parking exciting and urgent earned him a devoted following. Planners, activists, and everyday citizens saw in him not just a scholar, but a visionary. His impact extended beyond his research. As a professor at UCLA for over 50 years, he mentored countless students, shaping the next generation of urban thinkers. Even after his official retirement in 2015, he remained deeply involved, always ready to share his wisdom. We lost a giant in the field of urban planning when Donald Shoup passed away on February 6th at the age of 86. But his ideas will continue to guide us as we build better cities, more walkable, more sustainable, more just. Number 5, Dorothy Chin Brandt. Today, we remember and honor the extraordinary life and legacy of Justice Dorothy Chin Brandt, a trailblazer, a role model, and a fierce advocate for justice. She was a woman who shattered barriers, opened doors, and paved the way for generations to come. Dorothy Chin Brandt, the first Asian American female judge in New York State, has passed away at the age of 78, leaving behind a legacy of resilience, excellence, and service. Born on April 9, 1946, Dorothy's journey to the bench was anything but easy. In 1986, as a lawyer in private practice with no strong political backing, she ran for a seat in the New York State Civil Court. She lost by just 138 votes out of nearly 100,000 cast, but that loss didn't define her. Instead, it fueled her determination. 1 year later, in 1987, she ran again and won. With that victory, she became the first Asian American to be elected to public office in New York State, an accomplishment that forever changed the landscape of representation and diversity in the judiciary. Her impact was immediate and profound. As an Asian American woman in a field dominated by men, she faced skepticism and prejudice. She once recalled that on her first day in court, the clerks mistook her for an interpreter. "Of course I couldn't be the judge," she remembered them thinking, but she was, and she excelled in that role, proving that justice has no gender, no race, only integrity, wisdom, and fairness. Beyond the courtroom, Justice Chin Brandt was a dedicated advocate for the Asian American community and legal diversity. She co-founded the Franklin H. Williams Judicial Commission to promote greater representation of minorities in the judiciary. She mentored young lawyers, encouraged aspiring judges, and used her platform to champion the rights of Asian Americans in the legal system. State Senator John Liu described her as a true pioneer and inspiration to Asian Americans across New York State and beyond. And former Chief Administrative Judge Jonathan Lippman called her a role model and trailblazer for Asian American women judges. She retired in 2016 after nearly 3 decades on the bench, but her influence never faded. Even after stepping down, she continued mentoring and advocating, receiving numerous awards for her service. Her legacy is one of strength, courage, and an unyielding commitment to justice. Number 6. Dickson Despommier. Imagine a world where cities grow their own food, not in sprawling farmlands, but in towering buildings of glass and steel. A world where urban life and agriculture coexist, reducing our environmental footprint and feeding millions sustainably. This vision wasn't a distant dream, but the life's work of Dr. Dickson Despommier, a microbiologist, ecologist, and pioneer of vertical farming. Born on June 5, 1940 in New Orleans, Louisiana, Dickson's curiosity about the natural world took root early. After earning his degrees in microbiology and parasitology, he dedicated nearly 4 decades to teaching and research at Columbia University, exploring how disease, ecology, and human activity are intricately connected. But his impact didn't stop at the microscopic level. In the early 2000s, he and his students started reimagining the future of food. The challenge? Feeding a growing global population while combating climate change and urban sprawl. The solution? Farming upwards. With passion and scientific rigor, Despommier popularized the concept of vertical farming, using high-rise buildings to cultivate crops in controlled environments, reducing water waste, eliminating pesticides, and maximizing space. His groundbreaking book, The Vertical Farm: Feeding the World in the 21st Century, ignited a movement. What was once science fiction became a reality, with vertical farms sprouting in cities from New York to Dubai. He even brought his vision to mainstream audiences, appearing in the Colbert Report in 2008, where his ideas captivated millions. Beyond agriculture, Despommier was a storyteller, an educator, and a mentor. He co-hosted This Week in Virology and This Week in Parasitism, making complex science accessible to all. His research on parasites and diseases paved the way for a deeper understanding of medical ecology, influencing generations of scientists. On February 7th, 2025, at the age of 84, we lost a visionary, but his legacy thrives in every scientist he inspired, in every vertical farm feeding community, and in the unshakable belief that innovation can heal the planet. Dr. Despommier once said, "If vertical farming succeeds, there'll be a lot more land to grow trees." His dream was never just about farming, it was about a better, more sustainable future for us all.